There's a theory that I've been working on for a while now, and while it's definitely more on the clinically insane side of Deltarune theories, it might just explain a ton of things about Deltarune and its lore. This is what I like to call the essence theory. Now, the idea of essence isn't clearly defined or acknowledged in Deltarune anywhere, so let me explain. I believe that all Lightners have essence to them, which basically encapsulates their unique traits, personality, feelings, and is overall a reflection of their very being. This essence can then spread to inanimate objects or places that they spend a lot of time near or have strong emotions towards. I know many of you may be doubtful the essence even exists in the first place since it isn't mentioned in the game at all, or that it isn't too important to the overall story of Deltarune. However, essence actually plays a huge role in the creation of each Dark World, and we've already witnessed it many times. I think the most clear example and proof of this is the Spamton Neo body. As most of you already know, the body that Spamton takes control over is heavily implied to be something that Mettaton created on a library computer, presumably their ideal body like the one they had in Undertale. It's something that Mettaton has extremely strong feelings towards. It is literally his hopes and dreams incarnate of his ideal future. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. Trust me, it goes a lot deeper than this. This theory would not only explain a lot from chapters 1 and 2, but could even give us some insights into future chapters as well. But there is something that I don't have any explanation for, and that's why you aren't subscribed right now. A whopping 90% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed, so make sure to be a headshot and subscribe, alright? But let's actually get into the video now and take a deep dive into the lore of Deltarune. Lightner essence can affect many things in the Dark World, and the clearest examples of this are some of the stronger Darkners we see. Let's talk about someone we're all quite familiar with at this point, Ralsei. Ralsei is nothing short of exceptional, being much stronger than your average Darkner and is even one of the 3 heroes of legend. There's no doubt Ralsei is strong, but how is he so powerful compared to most Darkners? Well, I'd argue that it's because he's imbued with a ton of positive essence. Ralsei definitely has a lot of Chris's essence, as he is very attached to Chris and is deeply tied to them in some way. A common and strong theory is that Ralsei is the red horn headband that Toriel says Chris used to wear a lot as a child, representing their desire to be more like their brother and to fit in more with monsters in general. If this is the case, this headband has a ton of essence from Chris wearing it a lot, and the fact that it symbolizes their hopes and dreams of who they want to be. Whatever Ralsei's object is in the real world though, Chris probably had strong feelings toward that object when they were younger, which resulted in Ralsei being a strong Darkner. If you don't believe that Ralsei's strength is due to him having a lot of Chris's essence though, then look no further than the Spamton Neo suit. Once again, we know that this suit embodies Mettaton's strongest desires for the body he wants, so it makes sense as to why it packs a punch in the Dark World. Given these 2 examples, I don't think it's a coincidence that some of the strongest Darkners we see have extremely strong essence from the hopes of Lightners. What about the big bads of each chapter though? King and Queen are extremely powerful too, but they definitely don't represent anyone's hopes or ideal self. While they don't have the strong desires of Lightners imbued in them like Ralsei or the Neo suit do though, they might have an even stronger essence. The essence of the night. Alright, well, we've officially stepped foot into the clinically insane part of this theory, but just hear me out. A little detail that is mentioned in both chapters is that King and Queen started to behave differently when the night appeared and created the Dark Fountains. This is something that seemingly only happened to King and Queen as well, since many NPCs talk about how there was a change in their behavior specifically and not other Darkners. Well, if they changed when the night appeared, then I think that there's a strong possibility that this change in behavior was because they were imbued with some of the night's essence. Since the knight is presumably an extremely strong being, it would make sense as to why King and Queen would be so strong with the knight's essence imbued in them. Another explanation could be that they were gaining power from the fountain itself. I mean, our party learns spells like Red Buster, Dual Heal, and X-Slash when they are near a fountain, so maybe being near a fountain actually does make someone stronger. This explains why King and Queen are so strong, but Jevil still needs an explanation as well. Honestly, there are a lot of possibilities for Jevil being as powerful as he is, but I think the most probable one is that he has a lot of negative essence. While Rousey in the Neo suit may have a lot of positive essence from the dreams of Lightners, Jevil may have a lot of negative essence from being completely discarded and neglected by Lightners. A strong possibility is that Jevil's Light World counterpart is the Joker card, a card that is usually ignored and cast aside when playing most card games. It would make sense if this were the case, since Jevil would be cast aside and forgotten about, never really played with, unlike a lot of the other Darkners in Chapter 1 like jigsaw pieces and building blocks. The reason that Spamton isn't normally as strong as Jevil and is more like a normal enemy is because he doesn't have strong negative or positive essence. Of course, nobody is projecting their dreams onto Spamton, or at least I hope not. And while Spamton may have been cast aside by Darkners, in the Light World side of things we actually see that he did get some attention from Noelle. During the Spamton sweepstakes, it was revealed that Spamton emailed Noelle and actually did get a response, so Spamton wasn't completely ignored unlike Jevil. Overall, the most prominent and powerful Darkners we've seen so far either have extremely strong positive or negative Lightner essence, or essence from the all-powerful Knight themselves. Not only does essence affect Darkners and how powerful they are, but it also affects the actual Dark Worlds themselves. I think this can most clearly be seen in Chapter 2 with Noelle. Since the Dark Fountain was created with Noelle already inside of it, a lot of her unique experiences and memories can be seen throughout it. For example, in the city there's specifically a whole room that has tiles which spell out December, a word which doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the Dark World, but that we know is extremely important to Noelle. There's also this plug in the basement which looks at you if you wait for long enough. This is most likely calling back to Noelle's memories of thinking that the electrical sockets are looking at her. There's even more examples of this, like Queen's relationship with Noelle, but it's clear that Noelle's essence had a significant impact on how Chapter 2's Dark World was formed. Since Birdley was also in the library when the Dark Fountain was created, I believe that the Dark World was also formed a little bit around him, with Queen being a gamer and one of the four shadows in Queen's mansion being a bluebird. Even in Chapter 1, despite Chris and Susie not being in the closet when the Dark Fountain was first created, you can still see their essence throughout the Dark World. The most prominent one is that King is a lot like Susie when we first see her, and even uses the same line that she did about quiet people. All this shows that Dark Worlds are greatly affected by any Lightners and essence that are present when the Dark Fountain is first created, and that they can even be affected by the Lightners that enter that Dark World as well. With this theory, I think we can make a few predictions about Chapter 3. Chapter 3's Dark World will be a result from Chris creating a Dark Fountain in Toriel's house, with Chris, Susie, and Toriel being present when it's created. While a lot of people believe that Chapter 3's Dark World will be focused mainly on the Dreamer family, I think it will actually also be focused on Susie as well. If Dark Worlds are affected by the Lightners that are there when the Fountain is created, then it means that Susie could affect this Dark World a lot. I think from a narrative perspective, it would also make sense if this meant some insight on Susie's life at home, since this chapter is set in the Dreamer household and will probably revolve around their family's relationship. Another prediction from this theory is that the main boss of Chapter 3 will be a lot different than King and Queen, assuming that Chris isn't the Knight. King and Queen were directly influenced by the Knight's essence when they created the Dark Fountain, so now that Chris is the one who made the Fountain, I think the main boss of this chapter is going to be affected much differently than normal, since they will have Chris's essence instead of the Knight's. Again, this is assuming that Chris isn't the Knight, which isn't 100% confirmed, but is still a possibility. I think this theory also provides more evidence that the secret boss will be Asgore's flowers that Toriel threw out. Asgore still has strong feelings for Toriel, evidenced by that brutal scene in Sansa's shop, and there's no doubt those flowers had a lot of his essence when he gave them to her. However, the fact that they were discarded and thrown away results in an interesting scenario where these flowers now have strong positive essence from Asgore, but also strong negative essence from Toriel completely disregarding them. I think this unique combination of both kinds of essence will result in an insanely powerful secret boss, which may explain why Sham says we need the Shadow Mantle to defeat them. They are simply too strong to be beaten without it. Another crazy theory that I've seen float around that relates to this theory is that if Rudy dies in a later chapter, then a Dark Fountain might be created near his remains to try and revive him using his essence. It's definitely on the crazier side, but it does have some parallels to Flowey. Rudy would be revived with his essence and a Dark Fountain created with determination, kind of like how in Undertale, Azrael was revived with his essence and a flower being injected with determination. It may be a bit crazy, but I think that essence might be the key to understanding a lot more about not only chapters 1 and 2, but also future chapters that are yet to come. Oh hey, you made it to the end of the video. I know this theory is way more on the crazy side of Deltarune speculation, so tell me what you think about all of it in the comments. Do you think essence could actually play a huge role in Deltarune, or do you think it doesn't even exist at all? Either way, thanks so much for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more Deltarune content. And if you like this video a lot, then you can see next week's video essay right now on my Patreon for $5 a month as well. So if you're interested in seeing my content a whole week early, then go check that out in the description. But with all that being said, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.